Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve. So, are we seeing the beginning of the end for Big Pharma? I mean, in the last couple of months, the FDA and the CDC have approved what they called chest feeding standards and over the counter birth control, and most recently, lab grown meats. And it looks like more and more people have just had enough. There are a number of reports on a growing trend of a return, specifically a return to a more traditional holistic care and wellness. Functional and holistic doctors have seen more patients in the last year than ever. And the market for natural wellness is projected to reach over $360 billion. Yes, that's billion with a B in the next 6 years at a growth rate of around 18%. Why is this? Why are people turning back to traditional holistic care and rejecting the pill popping artificial healthcare we've culturally embraced for the last few decades? Well, here to discuss this and more is medical scientist and entrepreneur Clint Winters. Clint is the mastermind behind the pain relief supplement KOC CB2, which, as many of you know, is the official pain reliever of the MMA fighters in the UFC. So, Clint, welcome back. Great to see you again, my friend.
Great to see you too.
It's awesome to have you. So, I mean, obviously, COVID clearly was eye-opening to a lot of people in terms of how the government and big pharma could sort of collude to weaponize healthcare. But as I understand it, the return to natural wellness was actually well underway even before COVID hit. What else? What else do you think attributes to this return to more traditional, holistic, natural wellness and sort of the sidelining of big pharma?
Well, I think of a quote that my dad taught me, which is pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered.
Ooh,
And I think that's exactly what we're looking at
yeah,
with big pharma. Is it's just, as a population, we've had enough, right?
right.
It's where there was a time where we really believed in what our doctors prescribed us and believed in what pharma was doing, but we're not stupid. And
Right.
the more and more that it was very clear that there was a partition between anything natural, we don't want you to see, we don't want you to go down the road, has to be drugs, has to be drugs, has to be drugs.
Right.
Well, that's just not the way it is. There's been natural solutions around for thousands of years. So to imagine all of a sudden none of these things work and only drugs work has made no sense. And I think we're finally starting to open our eyes to it with the advent of, you know, everything with social media, to the ability for us to go and get our own information and hear people speaking about natural options that are out there, in opening your eyes to things that can really help you outside of pills and pharma. I think that's where the major shift has come. People are starting to take their health in their own hands again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. To me, so much of this is so weird. I'm just curious on your thoughts here in terms of, with more and more companies going woke, right? I can't help but think how historically bizarre that relationship is, because if you think about it 10 years ago, your stereotypical cultural leftist was a vegan,
Yeah.
eco-friendly, this or that, eat, pray, love lifestyles, all that sort of stuff. Now they're not just disparaging natural wellness, but there's actually, they're hooking up with big pharma and mandating vaccines and socially ostracizing those who want to opt out of that. Any insights to what's going on there and why we saw such a dramatic shift, particularly in the healthcare field?
So you're right. It is bizarre, and it's bizarre to still watch to this day. But I think really what you're looking at is it's a massive form of control, right? So
Mhm.
they used health to control people, because if you take away the ability to make your own decision, and make your own choices when it comes to your own healthcare and natural solutions you can use, and force you to use drugs, well, that's a massive, massive, massive way to control the population, which is the entire goal behind that movement.
Right.
So I think what you're looking at is, I mean, it's a classic flip flop, right? It's a flip flop because it's easy to flip on maybe what they believed before, because the greater goal in their mind was total control. So
Yeah.
like they chose total control over what made sense to them 10 years ago. And let's face it, I mean, washing flip flops is a common practice in
Right.
what we
Right.
do. So
Right. 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 Yeah. It's so. I mean, we're seeing it everywhere. These flip flops going in. You've got Bush and the Republicans passing, anti-terrorist laws, and today now they're using those very laws against Republicans. Like J6 and all.
yeah.
It really. I mean, it's just like wow. I mean, talk about like going into a picture negative. Yeah. It's so right now the peace love dope leftist is now becoming this hardcore corporatist control freak. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's whatever serves at the time.
Yeah.
Whatever serves them at the time. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it is. And it's sad that that's the way the policies are, but that's the world we live in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have to be realistic with it. So, one of the things that I get asked a lot, and actually I personally often wrestle with a bit, is if we want to move more towards a natural wellness posture, how do we determine, how do we vet out sort of the bad advice or sketchy products? I mean, I guess I'm thinking, at least with big pharma, you've got all these sort of protocols that it has to go through FDA, whatever, that kind of stuff. What advice would you give to those who want to have some kind of point of reference, some kind of standard by which they can weed out bad advice, sketchy products from the really good stuff?
So that's a great question. That is probably the single biggest reason people are skeptical of natural solutions is because there's the lack of needed testing before you bring a product to market. So here's if I had a family member ask me what they should look for. As an expert, what I look for is, does the actual active ingredient have clinical testing behind it? Meaning, can I go onto PubMed or a major a medical journal, scientific journal, and actually see results that were proven through testing on that particular ingredient, which is one of the reasons that I love canola and everything we'll talk about in a little bit. But after that, also, is it American made? That is crucially important to me. I want to know that it's made here. I want to know that it's made by our GMP standards. And that goes along with, is it a GMP certified manufacturing facility? What that means to me is it's being made safe. It's being made on our shores. It's being made with the proper protocols, which is crucial because there's nothing that stops companies from importing junk from overseas
Right.
that's made God knows how, God knows where, and that can be terrifying. So those are the three things I look at before I put anything in my body at all is the ingredient actually clinically proven? Does it have clinical studies? Is it American made? Is it made in a GMP certified laboratory? If it meets those three requirements, you're in a good position.
You're in a good position. Well, then let's go to KOC CB2. I mean, I've been using it myself as pain management supplement. We talk about it a lot on our channel. There's a lot that's been written about it in relation to its use among UFC fighters. Right before the interview, I just did a quick search to see if anything, any other updates on it and so forth. But lo and behold, there's new articles out that they love it, and its lack of side effects has been starkly contrasted with the particularly deleterious side effects and addictive properties of opioids and the like. So can you flesh this out a little bit of what KOC CB2 is, sort of a little bit of the backstory behind you, how you developed it and the like?
Sure. So you're absolutely right, though. KOC CB2 is on a huge growth curve, which is amazing to see because of the number of people that it's helping. I think I was telling some of your group that since January, we've had 850 independent stories written to us. Now, that wasn't us asking for a review. That was people who've reached out to us, 850 Americans that
Wow.
now are getting relief, which was huge. And reading these stories is amazing. It's exactly what you said. It's people that are getting off drugs, not having to use opioids anymore, getting out of addiction, finally getting relief, finally getting their life back. It's amazing to see. So,
And if I can just interject there too, because what I also found so fascinating with KOC CB2 is it's not it's not pill popping, as it were. This is a supplement. This is like a
It's a
daily
supplement.
supplement that you take every day, like with your vitamin C and all that, right? And
It is
but
the Yeah,
yeah,
it's
please.
the only supplement in the world that actually enhances your own ability to relieve pain by enhancing your endorphin flow in the brain. So endorphins, which are famous for giving you what's called a runner's high, basically, make you feel like Superman. We lose that ability over time. Canoladine restores that ability. So you start to fight pain like you were 9, 10, 11, 12 years old again. If you think back to those days, you never hurt. If you got, banged down, you fell and scraped your knee, you're back up the next day, you didn't feel it. Now you fall and mess up your knee, it could be weeks or months before you feel the same again, if ever. And
Right.
that's the big thing with canoladine is it's providing a process that's never been done with any other pain reliever. No side effects, no addiction, no inebriation. It came from years of my research previously. I think I told you, it's a very personal story with my mom where she was diagnosed with cancer and she was put on pain pills. That was my first real up close encounter with pain pills, and seeing what morphine did to her was devastating because we lost her months before we ever actually lost her. And
Hmm. Hmm.
seeing that story play out over and over, I just knew there had to be a better way. And lo and behold, as I started to find the research that was happening on crepe jasmine and the canoladine alkaloid, it was just mind blowing. You're talking about something that scientists, so not marketers, but scientists, compare to morphine with no side effects, no risk of addiction, as something you can take safely every day. And it's going to change the world because now, just as people are supporting their brain and supporting their heart and supporting other parts of their body,
Right.
they can do something to support their natural ability to relieve pain. So
Yeah.
imagine a world a few years down the road where you're now your pain relief optimized, which
Right.
is something that you can do with your heart, your blood sugar, your other parts, but not with pain. Now you can with pain, and that's why canoladine is growing so quickly, and I'm so excited about it. Is because it really does provide a game changing benefit, and I know it's already helped a ton of your listeners. It helps
Yep.
me on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, just fantastic stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely, definitely the future of pain relief, no question about that. What kind of have you gotten any testimonies of meds people have gotten taken off of after starting to take kind of CB2, anything like that?
It's kind of those stories are kind of where I take pride, personal pride, from inventing it because I love reading the stories where people were like, "Hey, I was on oxy for years, and now I can get off that." People have been on fentanyl, people have been on morphine. I mean, you name it. And we've gotten a story about a pain pill that people will be able to get off. And there's something else I want to address real quick, too, which is a silent epidemic, which a lot of people don't realize is happening, is when all these companies got busted for selling pain pills. So basically, when Oxy became a huge deal and doctors started to get in trouble, obviously, executives went to jail. Well, all the other doctors on the outskirts started to pull back prescriptions.
Mm,
So these poor patients were given Oxy as a long-term treatment, which they never should have been prescribed, turned them into a virtual drug addict, and then said, "Hey, by the way, you can't take it anymore. I can't give it to you anymore."
oh
So what are
my.
you going to do? And I'm hoping you've never had experiences with pain pills. I haven't directly either, but when you come off a pain pill, from my research, it is the most excruciating pain you've ever been in your entire life
Wow.
because your body has no ability to fight pain at all. So stuff that would have been like mediocre pain before is like life altering bad when you have to come off those drugs, which is why people go out and they find heroin or whatever they have to do to get
Right.
themselves out of pain.
Right.
So hardworking, great, everyday Americans that are just turned into drug addicts or life of
Yeah.
agony.
Yeah, it's horrible. It is. It's absolutely horrible. And J.D. Vance writes about that in his book, Hillbilly Elegy, of what he saw in Appalachia growing up there, and just the way pain medication is used recreationally and then addictively and the like. It's just ruined so many lives. So this is
Yeah,
absolutely
it
amazing.
has. It has, and it's always the first step. A lot of times it happens with like an injury that turns into you get pain pills because of that. Then it turns into a recreational thing because it makes you feel good, and then you're off into addiction.
Yep.
So
Yep.
often that very first step people forget about, that it was like something that could happen to you or I. It could happen to anybody. Like
Right.
you go running, hurt yourself, you trust in your doctor, you get a pain pill, and then your whole
Boom.
life is ruined
Your whole
without
life
you
is ruined.
realizing
Exactly.
it, what's happening. So that's why it's so important to me to, and what you're doing here and your mission and my mission to get the word out about canola. It's not just a product. It's something that's changing lives. It's something that I'm very proud of. It's something that I appreciate you speaking about and you using, because together as a group we can make a difference if we just get this information out. Because that's the toughest part about being in natural health, is you have to be very careful where you put the information out there, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's up to us. It's up to
Right.
us to disseminate the truth and disseminate the information that's out there to make sure that those who need it really have a benefit.
Can I ask you? We got a lot of UFC fans who
Yeah,
watch MMA fans and so forth. How did you get involved with them? I think that's again one of the things. One of the great, I think, for lack of a better term, selling points of this thing is look at these
sure.
guys who are getting pummeled in that cage. This is what they use to help manage pain on a daily basis as a supplement. How did you get involved with UFC and all that?
So that's a great story. So, they, along with all professional athletes, deal with the same epidemic that
Right.
regular Americans do, which
Right.
is your fighters, your football players go off and they take pain pills to try to get through their training and get through their day. They're banned in most of your testing, so people cannot take pain pills in and around their events, and they're highly addictive. So you end up with athletes. We've all seen those stories where then they turn into drug addicts, just like we went over. So they're actively the UFC was actively looking for solutions to promote to their fighters that were safe, effective, and going from that point of, hey, we have something, to them using it was quite a journey, because they don't let just anyone through the door, right? So we
Right.
had to go through tons of testing. The supplement itself is drug-free certified against 416 banned substances. So you're talking about the tip top of testing that goes through to be able to provide something to athletes of that caliber or any caliber, which kind of brings us back to your question about how can you tell a
Right.
company is legitimate. Testing. For me as a scientist, I wanted to put my formula with a company which GDR Labs meets all those requirements, or
Hmm.
GMP, small batch, American made. I love how and what they do to create supplements and take my formulas and turn them into give them life into what they are today.
Right.
So we went through that. It was a fun, arduous process, but coming out the other side, we had the badge of honor of, hey, we made it through one of the toughest
Yeah.
supplement testing protocols in history.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. I love it. And gang, you could take literally think about it. You could take the same supplement every day that you're seeing the MMA fighters taking. I'm
And you could travel with it. That's another thing too,
that's
is people
right,
travel. So if obviously I know CBD has become big with the relief market. That's a different story, but it's hard to travel with that. Every state's
right.
different. They have different
Every state's
legalities. You
right.
can't.
Every country's different. Yeah, yeah,
Every country's different. So this
yeah.
is legal everywhere. You put it in your bag. You carry it around the plane. You whatever wherever you're going, it's legal everywhere. Take it. You never have to stop using it.
Yeah, gang, you should. I mean, I highlight people like Clint who are helping Patriots just return to self sufficiency, so they can keep your hard earned money, out of the hands of big pharma. Return to a more holistic approach to health. Again, like the UFC fighters are doing. Click on the link below. Try this for yourself. It's absolutely amazing. I think you have. Do you have a video? If you click on the video link below, do they see a video that you talk about a little bit, give them more information on
Yeah, there's several.
conversation?
There's it's an entire research page. You'll be able to go through and find that research I was telling you to look for. It's going to be on that page. There's incredible video testimonials of people who have used it. Everyone from like athletes to everyday people like you and I. Great information page. And as always, I made sure that your listeners are going to get a very, very special price, because again,
Cool.
all I ask is they're going to save a ton of money by going to that link, but use it. If you've already used it, if you're already a Canola customer, then buy more by all means, but please just spread the word. Help us get
Yeah.
the word out. We're trying to help as many people as we can. This is truly not about the money for us. If it was about the money, we'd be charging a lot more per each bottle. This is about getting this in as many American hands as we can to make sure that your last, your best years of life as you age are your absolute best. You're out of pain. You can go do the things you want to do because you've worked so hard to get here. You might as well do it pain-free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A pain-free future. That's what it's all about. A return to the future, right? Back to the future. The future is all about going back to what works. They call it re-traditionalization. Yeah.
Wait, someone should make a movie about that.
That's right. That's right. Man. Yeah, whatever you do, click on that link below. Check out Clint's amazingly informative reports on how KOC CB2 is changing lives by providing safe and powerful relief at a fraction of the cost of pain pills. It's absolutely amazing. Click on the link below right now. You will not regret it. Clint, thanks so much for being with us. We'll have you again back very soon.
Thank you, Dr. Steve. I appreciate it.